In the quiet suburbs where white picket fences and manicured lawns paint a picture of domestic bliss, lived Sarah and Mark. To the outside world, they were the perfect couple. High school sweethearts who had built a life together, brick by brick, raising two wonderful children, Lily and Jake. Their home was a sanctuary. Mark was a dedicated software engineer, providing a comfortable life, while Sarah, a former artist, channeled her creativity into being a full-time mom. Their love story was the kind people wrote about, a testament to commitment and shared dreams. But beneath the serene surface, a subtle current of dissatisfaction had begun to flow. Sarah, once vibrant and full of artistic passion, felt a growing emptiness. The days once filled with color and canvas now blurred into a repetitive cycle of school runs, laundry, and PTA meetings. She loved her family fiercely, but a part of her soul, the artist within, felt neglected, forgotten. Mark, consumed by his demanding career, often came home exhausted, his mind still tangled in lines of code. The deep conversations they once shared had been replaced by logistical discussions about bills and schedules. The spark that had once ignited their love story was dimming, leaving a cold, unfamiliar distance between them. This growing void in Sarah's life made her vulnerable. It was at a local community art class, a small step she took to reclaim a piece of her old self, that she met Julian. He was a visiting instructor, a painter with a bohemian spirit, and eyes that seemed to see the world in vibrant hues. He spoke of art not as a hobby, but as life itself. He looked at Sarah's old sketches and saw not a dormant talent, but a sleeping giant. For the first time in years, someone saw her the artist, not just the wife and mother. Their conversations started innocently, centered around brushstrokes and color theory. But soon, they bled into late-night texts, sharing secrets and dreams under the cloak of digital darkness. Julian offered her an escape, a world where she was not just Sarah, the mom, but Sarah, the muse. The attention was intoxicating, a dangerous elixir for her thirsty soul. She knew it was wrong. Every text sent, every secret meeting for coffee, was a betrayal. A voice of guilt screamed in her head, but it was drowned out by the intoxicating melody of Julian's validation. The affair began. It was a whirlwind of clandestine meetings in hidden cafes and stolen moments in his art studio. The guilt was a constant, heavy cloak she wore, but the thrill, the feeling of being wanted for who she was a powerful drug. She compartmentalized her life. At home, she was the doting mother, baking cookies and helping with homework, her laughter a little too bright, her smiles a little too forced. With Julian, she was a different woman, shedding her domestic skin to reveal the passionate artist beneath. Mark, though preoccupied, was not oblivious. He started noticing the small changes. Sarah was often distant, her phone a constant companion she guarded fiercely. She had new excuses, late-night art sessions and weekend workshops. A seed of suspicion was planted in his heart, a cold, hard knot of fear. He didn't want to believe it. He tried to brush it off, telling himself he was being paranoid, that she was just rediscovering her passion. He even tried to reconnect, suggesting date nights and family trips. But Sarah's responses were lukewarm, her attention always seeming to be somewhere else. The breaking point came on their 15th wedding anniversary. Mark had planned a surprise romantic dinner at home, cooked her favorite meal, filled the room with candles, bought a delicate silver locket, a callback to the one he'd given her in high school. But Sarah was late. She arrived hours after the children were in bed, smelling of turpentine and a cologne that wasn't Mark's. She'd forgotten. Her apology was flimsy, her eyes unable to meet his. That night, the carefully constructed facade of their perfect life shattered. Mark, his heart a gaping wound, confronted her. He had found a text from Julian on her unlocked phone, a poetic line about her beauty that felt like a dagger to his chest. The truth came tumbling out, messy and ugly, filling the space between them with words that could never be unsaid. The home that was once a sanctuary became a war zone. The confession hung in the air, thick and suffocating. The fallout was immediate and catastrophic. Mark, a man who had built his entire world around his family, was broken. He moved into the guest room, the house now divided by an invisible, impenetrable wall. The laughter of their children was replaced by hushed whispers and confused sad eyes. Lily and Jake could feel the tension, the coldness that had seeped into the very walls of their home. They started acting out at school, their secure world now unstable and frightening. They didn't understand the complexities of adult betrayal. They only knew that Mommy and Daddy didn't talk anymore, that the warmth of their home was gone. Sarah was adrift in a sea of guilt and regret. The thrill of the affair vanished, replaced by the stark reality of the devastation she had caused. Julian, the catalyst for this destruction, suddenly seemed distant and unimportant. He was a fantasy, an escape, and the fantasy had dissolved, leaving behind a harsh, unforgiving reality. She had traded her family's loyalty for a fleeting desire, and the price was immeasurable. She tried to apologize, to explain the emptiness she had felt, but her words were hollow echoes against the wall of Mark's pain. The divorce was inevitable. It was a brutal process, tearing apart not just a marriage but a family. The house, their shared dream, was sold. Possessions were divided, memories packed into cardboard boxes. Children were caught in the crossfire, shuttled between two separate, lonely homes. Lily developed anxiety, and Jake became withdrawn and angry. They were the silent victims, their childhood irrevocably fractured by a choice they had no part in. Years passed. Sarah and Mark tried to co-parent, their interactions polite but strained, forever marked by the ghost of her betrayal. Mark eventually found a new, quieter happiness, but the scar on his heart remained. He learned to trust again, but with a caution that hadn't been there before. Sarah's life took a different path. She pursued her art, achieving a modest level of success. Her paintings were beautiful, but tinged with a deep, unmistakable melancholy. She had found her artistic voice, but it was a voice born from profound loss. She was alone. The desire that had seemed so vital, so necessary, had led her to a lonely studio, surrounded by canvases that were portraits of her regret. She would often look at old photographs of her family, of the four of them smiling on a sunny beach, and a wave of grief would wash over her. She had sought to fill a void within herself, but in doing so, she had created a much larger, more permanent void in the lives of those she loved most. The temporary thrill of desire had been extinguished, but the fire of its consequences continued to burn. A constant, painful reminder of the day she chose a fleeting passion over an enduring loyalty. It was a story without a neat resolution. A cautionary tale whispered in the quiet suburbs that a family built over years of love. And trust can be dismantled in a moment of weakness, leaving behind a lifetime of paying the highest price.